Are you ready to expand your life and reality? Join us for the next hour with Jamie Bates as she shares life-changing thoughts, techniques, and awarenesses to help you expand your reality.
Hello and welcome. I am Jamie Bates, consciousness facilitator and expander of realities. My mission with my radio show is to create greater awareness of what is possible and to expand you beyond the limitations of this reality. I am grateful that you're joining me today. And today I want to talk about how consciousness clearings can heal your life. So today I'm going to share a whole bunch of information about how using consciousness clearings can really truly heal your life. I use consciousness clearings to heal my life. Truly, I use consciousness clearings as a whole. Essentially, I use consciousness clearings to clear away everything that wasn't me that I had identified as myself. Okay. And today, I want to share with you that same information. As a consciousness facilitator, obviously, I'm biased in my belief that consciousness clearing can heal your life because it's a lot of the basis of what I do. But I tell you what, it's because it healed my life. Okay. And I talk about them pretty much all the time. And I know I've actually done a couple different shows about basically about the same thing, and I do a consciousness clearings in pretty much every show, but today I just wanted to really focus on the concept of how consciousness clearings can heal your life. Okay, how you can apply consciousness clearings, how consciousness clearings can truly transform all of these things that we feel like are unchangeable or untransformable, or we have so many different places in our life where it's like, that's just how it is, kid, right? That's just life itself. There's no changing it. And I'm here to tell you right this very moment that everything in this reality is changeable. Everything. I don't care what it is, or who told you you can't, or or like even how it's been in the past. I don't care about any of that. Okay, I don't want to say I don't care about that, but it doesn't matter about any of that, because ultimately you can clear the energy around any concept and you can change the space and you can create transformation in anything. Okay. For me, they are the key piece in creating massive transformation in your life. So let's talk about that for a moment. Let's just talk about consciousness clearings and why in the world one would need to do consciousness clearings. And again, exactly what do they create? Yeah, let's take a nice deep breath and let's just really get into flow here today. And let's start today by expanding. So go ahead and take some nice deep breaths and put your barriers down, your barriers down, your barriers down, your barriers down. Let's get into an expanded space so we can really get that larger viewpoint, right? Expanding is really going to give you more space of what I'm talking about. It's going to allow you to see concepts that maybe you couldn't see before. And hey, who knows? Maybe today we will do some consciousness clearings as well. So take some nice deep breath and let's put our barriers down, our barriers down, our barriers down, our barriers down. And let's go ahead and expand out. Make yourself as big as the building that you're in. Go all the way out, all the way down, and all the way up. And take a nice deep breath and go ahead and expand out as big as the city that you're in, all the way out. And you're going to go all the way down as big as the city and all the way up. Nice deep breath, and as big as the state that you're in, all the way out and all the way down and all the way up. And as big as the country that you're in, whatever country that is, all the way out, all the way down, and all the way up. Remember, we're just expanding out our beings, not our bodies, just giving our beings more space, giving our energy, our space, and our consciousness more space to be able to show up. And let's go ahead and go out as big as the planet that we're all on. Bigger, faster, bigger, faster, bigger, faster, bigger, faster, the universe. Nice deep breath in the multiverse. Times that by a million, times that by a million, times that by a million, times that by a million. All the way out to the space of who you be as the infinite being that you be. Yeah, and let's just breathe that in for a moment. Let's just be space for a second. Let's just feel how much space is truly available for us, how much space there is for us to exist. Now, if you feel really claustrophobic still, if you feel really kind of like heavy and hard, that is a key indication that you require energy clearings, okay? And any concept that you feel heavy and hard about life, it is only because you're living within a certain belief system or program or form and structure around a concept, and that actually doesn't work for you. Whenever something is heavy and hard, it means it's not true for you. Okay, it's just not a true concept for you. It means that there's a lot of, and oftentimes I find in a lot of the bigger concepts that we feel heavy around in life, it's not the concept necessarily itself. It's the little tiny viewpoints that are within the concept that are potentially, they say everything is part truth, right? Every concept in the world is part truth. But a lot of the concepts in the world are part truth and part not truth. Right? And if you buy into the whole concept, you buy into the untruths as well. You don't really, once you buy into a concept, into a program, into a belief system of any way, shape, or form, you buy into the whole system. And most systems, I'm going to even wager to say every system we have existing in this reality is a part true and part not. And so what's very important as a conscious and aware person to understand is it's not about fitting in and molding into what this reality says and all of the programs that this reality has, but it's about clearing yourself from these programs and learning to instill new programs and new energies and new concepts that actually create a lightness in your being. Okay, so let's back up here for a moment and let's actually talk about what is an energy clearing. Okay, so again, if you feel heavy about any concept in your life, really, that is a key indicator that you need to clear the energy around that concept because you're identifying, you're buying into, you're looping yourself into a construct that doesn't work for you. Okay, so an energy clearing is essentially where you, as a conscious and aware being, do a deep dive into the energy storage spaces of your universe. It's basically kind of like cleaning out your closet, okay? Except it's an energy program, a belief system that you're throwing away, not an old sweater, okay? It's where you deep dive into the energy that creates the way that your life shows up. It's the energy that is creating your whys and your hows and your whats. It's the energy that you have stored. Only in energy clearing, you don't have to get really specific to get to the exact awareness. You're just grabbing energy that is present and you're clearing it. Now, I know that some people think, oh gosh, what if I clear something that I really love in my life? Like, what if I clear the energy around something that I love, that lights me up, that creates more for me? Okay. And here's the thing. You cannot clear something that like clear something away from your life that you love, that you desire to have, that really creates more for you. The thing about energy clearings is essentially you're just clearing out the defined points of views. Okay, you can still have the energy, you're just no longer on that specific path. Okay, so what this creates is a space for something new and amazing to show up versus the same old energy that you have. Now again, if we're looking at something, let's say I love my husband to death, right? And I don't ever want to lose my husband. So I don't want to be because I just actually had this conversation with somebody recently. We were talking about her relationship, and she said, well, I don't want to clear any energy around that because that's not an issue in my life. And I said, okay, I get that. I totally get that. But the thing here is when you're functioning in relationship, and again, even if you love it, like there's still defined points of views of right and wrong and good and bad, right? When you clear those, all you're doing is actually giving more space to the situation as a whole. It doesn't mean that when I clear that, my relationship's going to fall apart. Absolutely, positively not. All it's actually going to do is give you more space in your relationship, which actually, if you're doing energy clearings and you clear something that, you know, is already perfect and amazing in your life, it's just going to give you more perfect and amazing because it's just going to expand that situation and that concept in your life out more, which is actually going to create more. Okay, so let's take that same thing. Like if we're doing energy clearings around a relationship that we have in our life, like maybe your relationship with your mother isn't a very good relationship. Okay, when we do energy clearings on that, we're going to take out those connection points and those decision points and the upset points that is locking you into having the same polarity or the same reality with that person in your life, with your parent or, you know, your mother, like I said before. And what that actually does is it changes the way that your relationship shows up. Now, again, if you're looking at a relationship that you have that's already a good relationship, it still gives it space, to be exactly the same as it is. It just gives you more space to have more of what you desire. So you can't, quote unquote, hurt your life by doing energy clearings because you're just releasing and unwinding energy restrictions. Okay? You're just clearing out the pathways in which energy flows to give more space and possibility. So let's just breathe that in for a moment. Okay. Yeah, so you still have the energy. You just no longer have that specific path. Now, what happens when you start clearing, and this is where I think it's important to understand, is what happens when you start clearing is you clear out these spaces and these paths that you have been functioning in that don't work for your life. Okay, so they open up new paths, new possibilities. And oftentimes, especially in, like, if you have a marriage that's strong and you're growing and shifting and changing together and you start doing energy clearings together, it only clears more space for you to have more amazing. And I would say I'm living proof of that. Me and my husband, when we actually started dating, right around the time that I was just getting into, or I had been doing consciousness work for a little while, but I was really getting deep into doing consciousness clearings, and my husband did them with me, and it has changed our life. And whenever we get to a point where something is holding us back or restricting us from, having something more or having something greater or moving forward in a direction we want, we go right back to using consciousness clearings to clear the space to be able to move forward. So consciousness clearings are one of those things that are going to continuously gift you with new space, new possibilities, new paths along the way. Okay. Most of us truly are stuck in what I call looping in life. Okay. This means you find yourself continuously in the same shit different day, right? Similar things show up for you day after day, week after week, things you hate, things you don't desire, but you just can't truly seem to change that. These loops don't typically just change because we have a lot of space of it, okay? Meaning most of us have been living in that loop, that pattern, that energetic pathway for so long that these are so deep and they go so far. And since we're energy beings, we perpetrate these same energies over and over and over and over and over. And it not only upsets us with the issue, right? Only when we get upset with the issue, it only creates it stronger. So it's really, really, truly difficult to break. But energy clearings are not difficult. Okay, when you do an energy clearing, it's not hard. And it basically puts a demand out there of the universe that when you do it, especially around concepts you want to change or concepts that you become aware of was like, hey, I'm just looping in the same crap here. The energy clearing actually works. I want to say that again. The energy clearing actually works. It actually starts releasing you from the concepts. It's interesting because when you start doing energy clearings, which I'm going to kind of back up here for a moment, but when you start doing energy clearings, you actually start to become more aware of where you're looping. Because, most of the time I start with someone and they really, truly will be looking at the patterns. I start coaching with someone, and one of the first things I start to look at is really how you are functioning in your life. What kind of things are repeatedly showing up for you? What kind of words and phrases am I hearing you say over and over and over? Because those are a key indicator of where you are looping in your life, right? And oftentimes when I bring these kind of things to people's attention in the very beginning, they want to go, oh, well, I don't think that that's true. I don't think I'm re-perpetrating that same pattern. And then we look at all these different places in their life and they're like, oh yeah, okay, I can see that now. Like, months later, they can see that there actually really truly is a pattern there, but we don't even realize that there's a pattern there because it's so familiar. Yeah, I'm just going to kind of hold space and kind of vortex this out here for a moment. So let's just kind of untangle that. So where is anywhere? Okay, we're going to do a little energy clearing right now. You are looping in something that you're not even aware of. Oh, and I just want to pull that all the way through. Oh, do you feel that? All of that energy that comes up right there, and all of that, everything, all of that is, can we just choose to remove all of that from all of our universes? And can we just choose that now? And all you have to say is, I choose that now. And when you say that, I choose that now, then we're just going to vaporize, 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 vaporize. And we're just going to let that go. I'm going to ask that question again, I think, anyways. Let me see if I can get that same question. Where is everywhere that you are stuck in an energy loop? We're just going to pull that all the way through, and we're just going to bring awareness to all of that and everything all of that is. Right there, and all of that, 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 everything all of that is. Can we just choose to remove all of that from all of universes? And can we just choose that now? And we're just going to vaporize, 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 vaporize. We're just going to vortex that through. So basically what we're doing is, okay, so we just expanded out into our own universe, right? We just did an expansion. Okay, so what happens when you ask questions? Because this is an ask and receive universe, right? And I know I talk about this a lot, but it's an ask and receive universe. So once we get into our own universe and we get into the big space of who we be, and we start asking questions, just like the question I asked, like where or what is all of the energy that is contributing to the energy looping in your life? Okay, that's a new question, I know, but just feel that for a moment. So when I ask that question, do you feel all of the energy that rushes in? So that is all of the energy that is contributing to you looping in your life. Okay, so that pull up of all of that energy, right? So when I say everything, all of that is, what we're essentially doing is grabbing all of that, right? And when I say, can we choose to remove all of that from all of your universes? And you say, yes, I choose that now. And we clear that. What it actually does is it clears that energy loop and it allows you to see what's beyond that. So everything, all of that is, there we go. Vaporize, 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 vaporize. Take a nice deep breath and just let all that go. It's just energy. It's just energy. And that energy is creating your energy, your space, and your consciousness. And when you start doing energy clearings, what you find is you start becoming so much more aware in your life. You start to become aware of patterns. You start to become aware of where you are auto-responding in situations. You start to become aware of where you are literally living on autopilot, because so many of us do. I think probably everyone on this world, on this planet, everyone in this world on this planet is functioning in some level of auto respond. There's a lot of places where we don't want to deal with things, where we don't want to look at different concepts, where we're just too overwhelmed, we're too tired, we're too over processed, we're too blah, 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 right? When you start doing energy clearings, you start clearing out a lot of that resistance. You start clearing out a lot of that fog. You start clearing out a lot of those places in your life where it's like, I can't even deal with that. It's too much. It's too much energy. It's too much resistance. It's too much point of view. When you start clearing that, all of a sudden, all of that dissipates and goes away, and all you have is space. Take a nice deep breath for a moment. So what is everything that you could clear right this very moment to give you more space of you? And everything all of that is. Ooh, pull that all the way through and all the way through and all the way through and all the way through. Everything, all of that is. Can we just choose to remove all of that from all of your universes? And can we just choose that now? And vaporize, 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 vaporize. And take a nice deep breath. Yeah, and just settle, let all of that energy go. There's no need to hold on to that anymore. It's not required. That quickening that you feel in your space all of the time, it's all of the resistance to all of the energy that you have stored in your space. And guess what? Majority of that is not even yours. When you start really settling into you, you start to have the reality that you desire, not the reality that's been projected at you or told you have to choose or programmed with. It's just choice and possibility. And you just have to clear out some of the energy that you are assimilating and that you have been programmed to believe is true, and those belief systems that are sticking you. When you clear all of that out, which is exactly what we do when we do energy clearings, it gives you more space of you. So just take a nice deep breath for a moment here, and let's just let this vortex through for a second. These energy clearings, they clear out the energy that is most prevalent, especially in the very beginning, and it instantaneously creates more space for you. When you have more space, you no longer see the concept from the linear point of view, from the right and wrong and the good and the bad, from the head on. It's no longer this defined space. It just is what it is. And from the is what it is space, you have a choice and you have a possibility, instead of ignition or upset or right or wrong or actually I was having a conversation with somebody last night, and was one of my daughters, and she was talking about a family member, and she said, I just don't think they have any awareness of it, Mom. They're just so programmed for that viewpoint. And literally my heart just skipped a beat. I was like, oh my gosh, I just love that I just get to hear my children say things like that, because when you start to do these consciousness clearings, you understand deeply that a majority of the reason why people function in the space that they function in isn't because they're bad or wrong or stupid or mean, or it's because they are stuck in perpetrating a pattern, an energy pathway. And as a conscious person, when you make the conscious choice to say, you know what, the energy pathways I've been living, the spaces I have been, moving through with my life are just not working anymore. And when you get that, when you understand that, the reason that you are not happy with your life and the way it's showing up and isn't necessarily that you have made bad choices. It's not necessarily that you're a terrible person or that you did, you created this crap pile and now you have to figure out how to get out from underneath it. It's not even like that, you guys. It's that in this society we have been programmed with form and structure and concepts that truly insult our soul. I don't think years ago I would have ever even said that, but as I've done this work for longer and longer and longer, and I've seen how religion and how, belief systems and how concepts in family and how, even rules and just so many different concepts lock us in to a reality that no longer works. That oftentimes by the time someone comes to me, they are so bogged down with so much programming and so much upset in their life that they feel like they're a failure. They feel like they've done terrible, awful things. They feel like they are at the point of no return. And when I start clearing them and I start doing consciousness clearings with them and I teach them how, when this shows up in your life, this is what you do. You don't react in the same way that you reacted before. Everything becomes different when you start doing consciousness clearings because you no longer internalize what is going on around you. You understand that this is just a product of the energy that I am holding on to. And everything, all of that is, can we just choose to remove all of that from all of universes? And can we just choose that now? And vaporize, 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 vaporize. And just let that go. It's really, truly easy to break the auto-respond. Most of us are living in this constant auto-responder of life. This happens, this is how I respond. The auto-responder is painful and upsetting because we don't have any choice. You literally don't have any choice. Have you ever been in a concept that you hate? Like, I know for myself, I used to auto respond in anger and rage. And I literally couldn't stop myself from reacting in anger. It was because my anger pathways were so deep. And underneath that anger, I had sadness. And underneath that sadness, I had, I had multiple layers, let me tell you. Multiple layers, okay? But because of all of that stack of emotional garbage, I literally had no choice. I couldn't help myself. This is how I reacted. And it made me even more mad that I didn't have choice in the situation. Like, I didn't want to be angry. I didn't want to be mad. I didn't want to be, this fear, projecting person, and I couldn't stop it. And that alone even made me feel worse, because then not only was I angry, but then I felt guilty, and then I felt sad, and then I felt shameful, and then I felt, and it was just a repeating, looping cycle. And when I started doing energy clearings and I started to realize that, hey, I can actually change the energy here. I do have a choice. I had to do a lot of clearings before I actually felt like I had a choice, and that's key. Okay, because I know when that despair sets in and that energy of like, oh, nothing is ever going to change this for me. I know when that sets in, it's really hard. So everywhere that you have that despair energy, and everywhere you have been re-looping back into feeling just completely hopeless about your situation, that right there. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Everything, all of that is. All of that, 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 all of that. Can we just choose to remove all of that from all of the universes? And can we just choose that now? And vaporize, 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 vaporize. I'm just going to vortex that through for a moment. Energy clearings give you a process to choose when you are the effect of something that you no longer want to create in your life. It's a proven process to take you from being upset with yourself and others to releasing and removing the energy around it so you can actually have choice. You know, I say this a lot, and when I'm working with someone, it's such a beautiful process when they tell me for the first time, oh my gosh, you know, this happened, and all of a sudden I realized I did have a choice. And I don't even want to say realize, I mean, that's the word that we use, but it's not even that all of a sudden you have this light bulb of choice. It's like all of a sudden you're in front of the same situation you have been in over and over and over, and all of a sudden you don't have to react in that same way. And this looks like, okay, so let's say, you know, I work with a lot of moms, right? And they have, you know, daughters or sons, and they have a lot of emotional issues with their children, which is very, very common, especially with us empaths, because we are internalizers of information. And because we uphold so much right and wrong and good and bad, we tend to instill those same form and structures, and they don't work with our children. And our children will go to emotional upset, they will go to tantrums, they will go to anything because they feel like they have no choice, just like we do. But see, what has happened is we've grown up in that environment, and basically nobody ever had any choices. So it was kind of like, suck it up, kid. Nobody has choices. And then all of a sudden, you know, now we're in a reality where choice is actually very prevalent, and our children really want that choice. They really want possibility. They really want something different. But we are stuck in that pattern of reinstilling the heavy and hard. This is how it is, kid. This is your choices, right? And our kids are like, no, but I don't want that. And so often when I start working with a parent, and especially, you know, they go from the space where it's like, okay, this is, you know, after dinner we usually argue about homework, or after dinner we, you know, argue about chores, or after dinner we, you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden it becomes, you know, we're not arguing anymore. We're not fighting with each other anymore. There's peace in my house. We're, you know, talking about things we've never talked about before. We're exploring topics, you know, I've never even considered chatting with my children about. We're laughing. We're having fun. Instead of the pout in the car for the hour ride, we're dancing and singing and having joy in our life. And that's what happens when you do consciousness clearings. It takes that solidified crap and it removes it from your life in a way that you no longer function in that heavy and hard. All of a sudden, you have choice. You have possibilities. Once you do enough energy clearings, you start to uncover a paradigm you may have never understood before. Choice. And I know that sounds silly because we think, oh, I've always had choice. But I'm guaranteeing that you didn't. Because if you think about even when you were a teenager and you thought about going to college, there was probably 15 people around you that didn't want you to go to college, or didn't think it was a good idea, or didn't want to help you with the money, or didn't want to help you find it, or and you literally just gave up. I mean, I know that was true for me. There was plenty of things I desired and wanted to choose as a child. But I didn't have that possibility in that choice because it was too hard. It was too heavy. There was too much to figure out. There was too many blah, 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 blah. All form and structure. All of that bullcrap is. It's just defined points of views. And when you clear out that definition, that form, that structure, that programming that you've been implanted with that says this is this and that is that, when that programming is gone, all you have left is space and choice and possibility. And let me tell you, it's literally a beautiful thing. It's amazing how when you start diving into consciousness clearings, how your life goes from heavy and hard to light and free and fun. And you start to discover things about yourself that you never even knew were a possibility, or you never even knew you were. You know, there's a joy in me right now, and my life right now, there's a happiness that even 6 years ago, I didn't even know was a possibility for me. And I hear this a lot from people as well. You know, I just recently, not a month or so ago, I had a conversation with a client, and she was telling me how she had went to a local little bar, and there was the only seats that were available were at the actual bar, right? And it was kind of one of those moments where it was like, oh gosh, I'm going to have to sit next to a stranger. And she started to kind of panic about it. But then she remembered that, like, it's okay. Like, I'm okay. We've been working through tools, we've been removing a lot of those defined points of views. And she realized that it's just a choice. I'm okay. I can do this. And she messaged me and said, I had the most beautiful conversation with a stranger. And I never, ever in my whole 40 some years of life ever been able to have that much ease talking to a complete stranger. Nor did I even have the awareness that that was even a possibility, or did I ever think to myself that I wanted to be that person. And that's what happens when you start doing these consciousness clearings, is all of a sudden you show up differently, and who you are starts to really shine. The joy and the happiness and the possibilities inside you start to come out, and you think, gosh, I didn't even know that this is what I desired. I didn't even know this level of joy and happiness was available for me. And I'm here to tell you that it is. Just take a nice deep breath. So, I've been really looking at how can I best serve my audience. You guys, I've tried that whole consciousness playground thing, several times now. If you've been following me for a while, And what I'm finding is it's really hard for people to get into actually logging on to a platform. Now, over the years, I've done tons of email things, and those tend to work the best because then I'm emailing you and all you got to do is click and open and listen, right? And that really tends to be over all these years. I started creating email programs, 2013, so 7 years ago. And in the last 7 years, the first couple of years I did strictly email, I guess even probably 4 or 5 years. And then just in the past few years, I've been trying to really switch over to that, that membership model where it's you log in and you find the information there. But I'm finding that just doesn't work for people. It just doesn't have the same effect. And it's really losing people in the translation of it, because it is hard. You have to remember passwords, and you have to remember how to log in, and you have to remember how to even find the place, right? And so what I have decided is I'm moving back to the email model. It works the best. It works the easiest. All you basically have to do is sign up, and bam, you have instant access. I'm emailing you information. I'm giving you audios, so on and so forth. So I'm super excited through this whole pandemic and through this whole, awakening and through the transformation. I'm really looking at how I can best serve all of you. And so I have just recently put together, just in the last week, a brand new thing I've been sitting on for a little while. It's going to be called the Consciousness Clearing Club. I have it done. I have it ready. It's available right now. And essentially what the Consciousness Clearing Club is it's just going to be, I'm not going to overwhelm you with content. I'm not going to overwhelm you with anything. Basically, it's just going to be a once a week live call. Okay? Once a week. And in this once a week live call, we're going to show up and we're going to talk about one concept in particular, and we're going to clear all of the energy around that one concept. Okay, the very first call is going to be the free call that's available to anybody whenever they join. And this first call is not going to be live. It's going to be recorded. It's already recorded. It's the commitments. It's clearing the commitments to unconsciousness. Okay, and this is a doozy audio because many of us have a lot of layers of commitments to unconsciousness. So if you join us in the Consciousness Clearing Club, and let me just tell you that I made it very affordable because I get it. I know we are in unprecedented times right now. I know many of us are in a space where we don't have any extra funds, where, our jobs are in a wonky place. So essentially I made the Consciousness Clearing Club $11 a month, or you can buy in for the whole year for $111. Okay, I'm making that year commitment, $111 or $11 a month. And every single week, with the exception of the very first week, you can get on a live call with me. We're going to take one concept. We're going to start with some of these bigger concepts, okay? Again, the first call that's already been recorded, you're going to get automatically when you register for this program is clearing the commitments to unconsciousness. Now, this is one of those audios that is going to go really super deep. So you could probably listen to this audio over and over and over for a little while, and what it's going to do is it's going to take you out of all of these places where you are automatically looping in commitments to unconsciousness. Now you might be thinking, why in the world would I have commitments to unconsciousness? Now, if we go back and you look at, everything I talk about in a whole, I am a firm believer that we chose to come here in this reality. We chose to play in these concepts of limitation. And in order to play in these concepts of limitation, we had to invoke unconsciousness in our system. We had to agree to uphold unconsciousness, because the thing is if we would have showed up as our brilliance and magic and wonderfulness, we would have called the jigs up on this reality a long time ago. We never ever would have been able to live in the limitation that we live in at the full spectrum receiver that we are. So we had to, in order to show up in limitation in this reality, we had to lock ourselves up. We had to agree to be unconscious. We had to agree to a lot of different concepts around unconsciousness. So this first audio is a real deep dive into those commitments of unconsciousness. Okay, it's a deep dive into clearing a lot of those concepts out, and when you do this, it's going to just give you more choice. And I've already had a few people listen to it, and it's like they've already told me, like, I didn't hear anything that you said through that whole audio. Like, it basically just zoned me out, and I pretty much slept through the whole thing. And that's okay. That's completely normal, because it is such a deep cleanse. It is going to do that. So these clearings that I do here on the radio show, yes, they are going to bring up energy. Yes, they are going to change things, but they're nowhere near the depth that we are going to go into in the Consciousness Clearing Club. And I was talking about this recently in my group, my free group on Facebook, The Conscious Empath. If you're not part of it, you really should join us, because we're having some super cool conversations in there. But essentially, I was talking about how, part of consciousness work is there's a lot of concepts that people have a lot of polarity around. They have a lot of points of views. They have a lot of programming, right? And as a consciousness facilitator, when I put out my stuff, if it's something that's too racy or people have too much of a charge on, it can really come back to me and really affect me in the long run as well. So when I do things in the public and I do things like on my radio show, I don't go nearly the depth that I would go in a paid program, because when somebody is paying for a program or paying me for something, what they're saying is, I am ready to show up and I am ready to change my life. And it completely changes the energy. When you're doing things for free, and I'm not saying that any of you who have been listening to free aren't willing or aren't really looking for massive transformation, but there's a complete and total different energy exchange when you actually pay money for something and you say, yes, I want that, versus things that are free. So a lot of my free stuff doesn't really have the depth of clearing or of release that most of my paid stuff does, because my paid stuff is way deeper, because it's set up with, we're going to change things, versus, I hope that makes sense. And I had to explain that in the group, because somebody was like, well, wow, are you trying to say that, it's not a wrongness here. It's just the fact of how energy works. When I pay for something, I show up for that thing, and I'm way more open to receive from it, versus when something is free, it doesn't have the same value. Okay? So again, the Consciousness Clearing Club is $11 a month, you guys. For $11 a month, you can get a weekly call with me where we are going to deep dive into all kinds of different conscious concepts. Okay, we are going to be clearing all kinds of things. And not only are we going to be clearing, but at the very end, we're going to do some very powerful receives. Plus, you're going to get, if you're part of Facebook, you're going to get a Facebook VIP group. And if you're already part of my free group, you know that I post in there literally like 4 or 5 times a day. I'm continuously sharing tips and tools and stories and information. I mean, I have people in there right now that are just saying, oh my gosh, just joining this free group has literally changed my life, right? I've learned so much. I feel so much better. Just imagine what you can get from the VIP group, where I'm going to be in there. I'm going to be posting even more. I'm going to be sharing some deeper stories, some new information that I don't really typically share with my free group, because again, I don't know how well it's going to be received. So in my paid groups, I do tend to go a lot deeper. I do tend to share a lot more information. I do tend to share a lot more personal stories as well. So not only are you going to get that weekly live call with me, but you're also going to get that VIP Facebook group where I'm going to be interacting, I'm going to be sharing, I'm going to be talking, I'm going to be in there, facilitating. I'm going to be leading you. So if you have an issue, you can say, hey, I have this problem coming up. Not only can you share your issue that you have coming up, but that also gives me great information on the content that I want to share next week. Or, maybe you're stuck in something and maybe a lot of people are having that same problem. That tells me where I need to go. So there's a lot of different reasons why you would want to be part of that. So again, $11 a month, you guys. $11 a month. I was really looking at what is going to create the most for my audience right now. $11 a month, $111 per year. Honestly, I'm going back and forth with if I'm going to leave this as an open model where it's open all the time for you to join, or if I'm going to close it, reopen, close it, reopen. Right now, right this very moment, today is August 19th, 2020. Right now, it's $11. What it's going to be in a month, I don't know. Probably still $11. Is it still going to be open in a month? At this point, I have no awareness about that. I'm just flowing with what the universe wants me to do right now. And right now, that's it. And I just was looking at, we'll just see how fast the group grows. We'll just see. And when it's time to close, or if it's time to raise the price, I guess I will know. So I'm just flowing with that right now. So again, you can go to my website, Jamie, Jamie-Bates, BATES.com, and sign up. Look right for the Clearing Club right at the top of the thing. $11 a month or $111 per year. Join me. Let's deep dive. Let's clear out this stuff, you guys. It's time to live a life of ease and fun and joy and happiness and alignment. No more of this heavy, weighed down crap. So also there is an option on there too. It's $1,111, and that's going to give you 2 additional programs that are literally 6-month programs that are life changers, game changers, okay? They are long programs. They have a ton of weekly audios that come with them. And so if you're really looking for the deep dive, deep clean, that is going to be your option. It is $1,111. But it'll be a whole year of the Clearing Club and a whole year of clearing audios. If you're struggling with emotional distractions, if you're struggling with, being constantly reactive to things, if you're struggling with really, I need change right this very moment, that is your option. That is the way to go. That program has literally my biggest game changer 2 programs that I've ever created in all of the time I've been doing work. Those are the programs that still people who have taken them in the past still message me and say, this program is still continuing to make changes in my life. I'm still re-listening to these audios. So just FYI, there is that available as well. So I've been babbling for a really long time today, you guys. I haven't made a show this long in a long time, so I'm going to go for today. Thank you so much for sticking through, for listening, for your feedback. Again, you can join me on the Conscious Empath free group at Facebook, or you can email me, jamie@jamiebates.com. And it's, again, JAMIE-BATES.com. So thank you so much for joining me today, and I look forward to connecting to you in the future. Have a great day.
You have been listening to Expand Your Reality with your host, Jamie Bates. Thank you for listening.